Alrighty. It says we're live. Okay. Let's get started with today's topics and everything. I, I kind of started it off talking about um, all the different strikes that are going on simultaneously. It's sort of amazes me. And we got the actors strike. We got the United Autos strike. Hey, Jerome, how are you? And we got the healthcare strike. Uh, a lot of striking going on, and then they averted the UPS strike. I think the nation was more worried with that, getting their packages back and forth, so they averted that. And then Teamsters threatened Yella for a strike, and then Yella just went out of business. Hey, Jim, how are you? Glad to see everybody start jumping in here. Beautiful day out here today in good old North Carolina, and I hope to enjoy it like I did yesterday. Of course, I enjoyed a lot of it inside watching football games. I love college football, and I used to go to a lot of college football games, but now I participate on a big screen TV, which is great for me. Oh, your COVID issues lasted a while. Oh, that's bad. Oh, wow. You get to replace a power steering box. Well, I hope you're either in a warm place, a dry place, or something where you can do that, because that can be aggravating. I've never liked changing gearboxes out. Um, is it the whole gearbox or just a power steering pump? I mean, that power steering gearbox, Lordy mercy. Yeah, that's not a fun thing to do. Not a fun thing to do, that's for sure. But it is what it is. If you got to have it, you got to have it. Uh, it is, you got to make the truck run, don't you? You can't do it without power steering, that's for sure. I'm gonna pull this camera down just a little bit. I believe it's a little high. I can adjust it there. I don't know if that's any better or not. You, everybody notice I kind of got a clean shop up here. Jim and I have been working. Well, if you notice right there, there's my lathe. We actually got it mounted and everything. Hey, Joy, you freshly out of the ark right now? I keep seeing Joy's remarks about needing an ark up there in New York State. Uh, they sure have had the flooding. I was listening to the news reports and they said, oh, yeah, the global warming has done this. No, that's weather. That's weather. And the reason it's flooding up there is you've paved over everything. I mean, people in New York, it just drives you crazy. Oh, wow. We got the flooded streets. We got the flooded subway. We got the flooded this. We got the flooded that. Look around, dude. You got asphalt, cement everywhere. The water has nowhere to go except into the drains. And then you got your drains stopped up half the times. But it's a crazy system. I mean, they're sitting there on right at the, you know, Hudson River, uh, water all around them. And then they worry about this when water hits them. It's amazing. So, I guess Kathy Holcomb and everything will figure that out, won't she, Joey? I know the governor of New York can get all this figured out. I mean, she's going to tell everybody that it's climate change, and that's the reason we're having this. That's what every newscast says now. Oh, it's climate change. It's climate. They're trying to stuff climate change down your throat so they can justify all the money that they're spending on this, getting us off of gas and oil and everything else. So what do? You just keep gradually if you can bring in climate change into your broadcast, that's what you'll do. And that's what I saw yesterday on the NBC reports. Oh, global warming, climate change is doing this. That's bull. They've had weather for years. I mean, yeah, they had a hard storm. They're having a lot of water. But like I said, you've created your own problem with I mean, if I paved over my pastures and all the land that I have out of here, if it poured down rain, yeah, the water would have nowhere to go. And that's what y'all have done in New York State, New York City. I mean, look around. I mean, now the whole state is not that way, but doggone New York City. I mean, can you go? How far would you have to go to actually see real ground out there? I mean, you got pavement, cement, pavement, cement. You don't have real uh, land to absorb any water if you did have a problem. Oh, I know it. The infrastructure is terrible up there, Jim. Yeah, no, like I said, it shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, if I poured water up here in my building right now, it, it would be all over the place inside my building. If I poured the same amount of water, 50 feet from here out in where the ground is, it wouldn't be as big a problem. It would dissipate into the ground. And that's what's happened. You cannot pave over everything. And then when you get a flood of water, say, oh my God, what are we going to do with all this water? Well, it's going to have to go down your drain system. And if you don't have adequate drain system, you're in trouble. And that's what happened. They gear it up for an inch of rain, then they get 7 inches of rain, and then they go, "Oh my, it's the climate change has done it." No, it's the idiots that built that infrastructure that did it, and then they're trying to change everything. Hey, Jamie, you got kicked out. What would you get kicked out of? What, Joey? What'd you get kicked out of? No, no, no. I didn't boot anybody, Joey. I don't know what somebody did. I didn't kick you out. You too big of a guy to kick out, Joey. Joey's a big stout guy. I got to meet Joey a couple of months ago. Him and Mike, Dirt Boss. I got to meet them in person, go out to eat with them, and yeah, Joey's a big stout guy. You don't want to get in a wrestling match with Joey. Oh no, I couldn't be a politician. No, I couldn't be I wouldn't want that job. I mean, they have to dance around everything, and I just say it the way it is. I I'm not going to dance around anything. If I see it, if it looks like horse manure, it's going to be horse manure. I clean that up. Yeah, yeah. I wish you had sent me some pictures. But I know the flooding is bad in certain areas and everything. I mean, nobody wants 7 or 8, 10 inches of rain at one time. I mean, nobody asked for that. But flooding is going to happen from time, you know, different times and places. I mean, that's climate. I mean, that's just your weather. It's not anything to do with climate change. Uh, I mean, the climate has changed forever. And, these people that are trying to think that they can control that, that's the crazy thing. I mean, God controls the weather and the climate, not man. God is the one that does that. So we're at his mercy, not at somebody's crazy idea trying to regulate. I mean, if you're going to starve your people out by trying to make them change their lifestyle or change what they're doing, I mean, you're the idiot. Oh, my cars. Well, I got everything out right now. I got the cars. I got the one car over here. I got the 55. I can show you that. I got the 55 right there. But as far as the rest of them, Jim and I have been working on this lathe back here. I don't know if you see it back there in the corner. I got a lathe. I got a lathe that we're working on, and that's why all the cars are out. Yeah, yeah, it looks naked right now with nothing in here. Well, the reason I got all the tables pushed, I got all the tables pushed back and everything else. I had to have the skid steer or the tool cat in here. We had to we had to maneuver we had to maneuver this everything around. Like I said, we had to maneuver everything around so we could get that lathe in the corner back there and get it on top of it. That's 2,300 pounds. That lathe is 2,300 pounds, and we didn't want to. Let me just change. I'll change the view this way a little bit. Maybe it won't look as naked. I can change it around a little bit so it looks a little bit different, Jim. Now you can see my lifts and let me get my chair situated here. But Jim and I, we've been doing a lot of welding and all kind of things here. So that's what it's got. got some got some whiskey, huh? Okay. Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, I got Jeff out on the West Coast. Jeff's out there. Uh, oh gosh, I guess it's what is 6:30 out there right now? A little after 6. A lot of the East Coast guys are in here. I hadn't seen my Australian guys yet. I haven't. Zach hadn't piped in. I guess he may already be asleep. 6:11. Yeah, boy. Yeah, it's 9 o'clock in the morning here now. So that's the time I usually get started out here. A little 9:11, I guess. And yeah, I guess my shop does look kind of vacant when I turn it like that, guys. But yeah, Hey, James, how are you? Yeah, yeah. When we emptied out this space, like I said, we emptied it out Friday because we were working in here, and I had to get in and wiggle around to get that lathe uh, situated just right in the right spot. And then we've moved all the tables out of the way and everything else. So it's it is what it is. I'm trying my best to get everything get everything going up here. But we worked hard. Jim worked real hard this past week on that, and uh, we got the lathe mounted in the floor, and uh, we got the bolts and everything on that. Now the getting the bolts to go up from the mount up into the lathe is the hard part because that lathe is, like I said, 2,200 pounds. So we have to lift it up with the skid steer or the track or tool cat and strap it in there and move it. And when you lift it up, then it wants to teeter totter a little bit, so it's tough to get. And then we got to get our holes. It's got threaded holes that we're trying to get down on that mount, and that's tough to do when it's 2,200 pounds. I'll tell you that. So we dealt with that Friday, and till sweat was just dripping off of Jim, and I said, well, it was about 4 o'clock anyway. I said, let's just call it a day, Jim. We'll start again on Monday with a fresh mind and fresh body, and we'll try to get that mounted, and we'll do what we can do. But that's where we're at on that, and we'll get that and get it wired up. We got it and the milling machine to wire up and to help us out on a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of times there's something we want to turn or everything else. But I hope everybody got to see the little thing where Jim and I invented a new tool out of an old tool. We took an old box blade that I'd had for 30 years and converted it so I could push with it instead of just having it on 3-point hitch, and it really makes a pretty darn good little push box blade. And it's working. It's working. Well, what did I think of the second Republican debate? I thought it was the noisiest thing I'd ever heard in my life. I didn't get nobody got a word in edgewise, and I don't think there's anything much accomplished out of it. I wish Chris Christie would shut up. I don't particularly like Chris Christie. He's irrelevant at this point. Him and that other governor, they both of them need to be knocked off of it. They don't need to be on the stage. Chris Christie hadn't got a he hadn't got a, a he hadn't got a inkling of a chance to get elected. He's not likable. Nobody likes him. He's so anti-Trump that he might as well be a Democrat. So kick him off, get him out. You don't need Chris Christie out there. He's irrelevant, and that's my opinion about the debate. The rest of them, I wish they could get it down. And I don't think we need Mike Pence in there. I would knock out Pence, Chris Christie, and then that governor. Then the rest of them, let them debate it out, because that's the only ones that are even relevant. Those three are not even relevant, in my opinion, and they don't have enough poll power or anything else to even say what they're doing. Just narrow it down to those 4 or 5 and let them go at it. I know it. That's what I think. I don't think Chris Christie could get elected dog catcher right now. I mean, he is so unlikable with the Republicans and Democrats, and he thinks he's God's gift to a politician. Nobody likes him. I mean, nationwide, I mean, he might have done all right in New Jersey or whatever, but hey, the rest of the United States, I don't think they give a rat's ass about Chris Christie. He's terrible. Yeah, I know. I thought the same way. Just a bunch of 8-year-olds, or you know, I've seen 8-year-olds do better than that. I mean, it was terrible. That there was there was no need for my. If I'd been the moderator, I'd say cut this mic, cut this mic. I would have been cutting microphones right and left till they shut up. Well, I know it. Like I said, I don't think Chris Christie's likable anywhere. He's definitely not likable. You know, nationwide, he couldn't poll good enough to get anything. So I would say kick him off the debates. He's irrelevant. Well, yeah, I don't know what happens when I'll probably be gone by then, Jim. I mean, I don't know what the next generation, Generation Z, or I tried to instill some good things into my grandson. My grandson's 18 years old, and he he already knows to vote right, and he knows how important it is, and knows some quality things there. So I'm impressed with the way my grandson thinks. Uh, he's studying engineering. Stays. I hope he stays that way and understands everything. Yeah, I know it. Yeah, yeah. Chris Christie. Yeah, I agree with you, Scott. Yeah, he's his brain's about like a boat anchor too. I, I just couldn't stand that. I actually turned it off. I listened to about 35, 40, maybe 45 minutes of it, and it was such a garbage thing. I recorded it so I could watch it if I want to, and then I said, "Ah, heck, I'll listen to the highlights tomorrow, and I'll get some other commentator's viewpoint." And then I saw the highlights, and I said, "Well, I didn't waste an hour and a half of my time anyway. I mean, that was a total waste of time watching that. I mean, a debate is a debate. That wasn't a debate. That was a brawl out there. I mean, they were all arguing and talking over each other, and I mean, the moderators didn't do their jobs at all. Yeah, I mean, this. I don't know what's going to happen this next year. Uh, they they got these Democrats lining up in the bullpit, ready to jump when Biden drops dead. Um, they've got all they got old Hollywood Gavin Newsom out there campaigning at everything. He's going to be in the spotlight since he's going to be able to nominate a new senator for California since Feinstein died over the weekend or last end of last week. So he's gonna get his way with the public. He's going to be able to be in the spotlight, for several weeks or whatever. And that's what he's after right now. He's after spotlights. He wants to be seen. Yeah, I hope we don't get the mail-in ballots like we did last time. I mean, that's the whole thing that screwed up everything. I think everybody realizes that. I mean, that was so easily falsified that I guarantee that there was a lot of falsification on mail-in ballots, and for them to say that it wasn't is just ludicrous. And I don't know. Yeah, I agree, James. I think Newsom's a loser too. I mean, anybody with his track record of what he's done, how he's California's lifestyle has eroded. He's got a state that people are leaving to get the heck out of there. I mean, there's nothing positive that he's done. The homelessness, they just keep throwing dollar after dollar out there and they don't get anything done. I mean, they might as well throw up their hands. Yeah, well, most of those older politicians are, Walter. I mean, that's what you get. Uh, Anytime anybody's been in power for that long. I mean, I even think the same thing about our congressman that we have in this area, and he's on the I don't know if it's a Ways and Means Committee. He's out there on he's the same he's on the same chair with Maxine Waters. I can't remember what that is, but he to me everything he's done looks very corrupt too. And I don't. He's the biggest brown noser I've ever seen in my life. He wants to be another Kevin McCarthy. Well, I know it. The Republicans are going to have to do exactly like the Democrats to even out this mail-in stuff because it definitely is. It's out of kilter right now. The mail-in ballots. Uh, the mail-in ballots are killing the voting situation, and I think it's terrible. Well, what do y'all think about all the striking that's going on right now? I mean, we got the auto workers that are striking. You've got the actors that are striking, still striking. The writers, I think, settled. You got the healthcare workers that are striking. Uh, like I said, we averted a Teamsters shutting down UPS. Uh, lot of strikes that we haven't seen in the last 6, 8, 10 years that are taking place all at one time. Uh, and to me, it's a direct correlation with what has happened with the economy. I mean, the economy has soured because of all this money that was pumped into it, false money. It's inflated everything. You can't go anywhere with looking at prices of stuff and say, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, what you paid 50 cent for a year, several years ago, you pay a dollar for now. It doesn't matter from the smallest thing to a candy bar to a Cadillac. Uh, it you're seeing inflation. I mean, and the auto workers are going on strike, and that's definitely going to raise the price of cars. I mean, cars and trucks are just ridiculously high now. I mean, I'm glad I'm at the age that most of my vehicles should last me most of my life. I don't foresee needing new vehicles anytime soon. I mean, I got a couple of 2018s. That's the newest I got. A 2015 and um, uh, a 2012. I don't have any old. Well, I do have some of my classic cars that are old, and I enjoy working on them. But I don't feel like I'm gonna need a lot of new vehicles. I'm gonna manage with what I've got, and so be it. I mean, I might have to get some here and there and work on some or whatever, but knock on wood, I've got a lot of low mileage vehicles, fairly low mileage, and hopefully I can just ride this thing out and not have to buy a bunch. Oh, I know it. California wants to do everything crazy, but I hope they don't mess up on classic cars. I mean, they can't green in everything. Not everybody wants a battery in their vehicles. I mean, this green initiative, I mean, that's what just drives me crazy. I want the technology to come about, but I don't want to be mandated to death to say that I have to have something. I mean, I've got those of you that follow my channel and know what I've got an electric lawnmower. I've got a zero turn electric lawnmower. Love it. Jump on it and mow my grass and don't have to put any gas in it and everything else. Plug it back in. Doesn't take much to charge it up. That's fine. Do I want electric tractors? No. Do I want electric uh, big traco? No. I don't. I don't have the infrastructure for stuff like that. I like having a diesel engine. Put the fuel in it and go. Uh, I mean, I've got a lot of heavy equipment. Like I said, skid steers and track hose, from small to large, uh, tractors, everything. So I'm not in the green initiative where we have to green everything. I mean, I think let's put the technology out there and let it fall where it may. Let competition say this is good and that's good. Don't mandate that we have to do stuff. This mandating that you have to have something at a certain time is ridiculous. I mean, California sucks. They would ruin the world if they were in charge, and that's what scares the heck out of me of somebody like Gavin Newsom wanting to run for president because he would ruin the world through his ultra liberal uh, woke ideas, and I don't want anybody like him. I mean, that's terrible. Well, I know it, and the poor people aren't going to be able to own own an electric vehicle. I mean, good gosh, poor people are sitting on the side of the roads out there in California now with old campers and tents because that's all they can afford. I mean, go to LA and look at all the campers and the tents, and people are living in those things because they're homeless or near homeless. Uh, it's just pathetic. Oh yeah, I mean they do. They've ruined all kind of things out there. Now, what part of California do you live in, Jeff? Oh, I know it. Yeah, well, yeah, yeah. Cuba has had to reinvent the cars down there because they couldn't import any. Yeah, they actually got some good looking classic cars in Cuba because they had to keep them running. They had to paint them up. They had to make them look good. Uh, so yeah, Cuba has pulled out every old car out of every junkyard I guess they had, and just repurposed everything for the past 60 years. That's why when you go to look at Cuba, they got 55 Chevys and 57 Chevys and stuff like that that's still running on the road down there. A lot of them. Oh, okay. So you're close to Vegas then, are you? Victorville. Okay. So you're not in the LA mess and all that sort of stuff. That's good. That's good. I would hate to be stuck out there in LA and have to deal with all that. I mean, it's been years since I've been in LA. I mean, I it was overcrowded then. It wasn't it wasn't the California. I mean, when I was a kid, I always, you heard California girls and the beaches and all the other stuff and all the lifestyle. And I thought, oh man, that'd be fantastic to see. And then when I finally got to California, I was so disappointed. I said, I said, where's the beaches? I mean, the beaches, what I think of as beaches are like what we have here on the East Coast or on the Gulf Coast, where you got long span of miles and miles of beachfront and sand and plenty of room between the ocean and everything. Out in California, you don't have that, but maybe in a few spots, but it's cliff rock. There's the ocean. And I was so disappointed to see what they had out there in comparison to what we got. I'll take the East Coast and the Gulf Coast over the West Coast anytime. No offense to anybody that likes California, but I think the beaches on the East Coast and the Gulf Coast are so much more expansive, uh, wide and expansive and beautiful. And, I love that. To me, that's the beach. Uh, dropping off a cliff and having about as far as from here to the other side of my shop with a little bit of dirt on it is not the beach. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a whole different thing. I mean, I enjoy the beauty of everything in our great United States. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful things in California. Uh, there's a lot of beautiful things in Arizona, Nevada, Utah. I mean, I've been through a lot of states and seen a lot of different scenery. I want to go, and that's one thing I want to do this year if I can. My wife and I have talked about that, taking some 2 or 3 day trips and go out and see different sites and different people. I mean, earlier, this summer, some of I went to New York. Uh, I went to New York to Cooperstown for my daughter and took her up there, and then I visited Ithaca, and then also over to Albany and visited Joy and Mike and up there, and got a great meal with all the mafia girls, as Joey likes to say. Uh, we went to an Italian restaurant. All the waitresses had on these short mini skirts and black hose and everything. They was neat looking. I thought it was cool, and it was a great meal, and really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Oh, Jesse James left California too. Find every minute. I tell you, I mean, that's the government like that they find people to death. And when you custom this and custom that, Oh, you're 45 minutes from Ithaca, are you? Yeah. Now, which part of where are you at, uh, Scott? Because I stayed down at about 40 minutes south. I was down in, I spent the night in, gosh, what was the name of that town? Binghamton. I spent the night in Binghamton. Binghamton was a good location for me because it was north south. I could get back and forth the way I wanted, and east west I could get good too, because I wanted to go see some things at Ithaca, and then I wanted Cooperstown. I wasn't too far, about an hour or so from Cooperstown, and then I went over to Albany a couple hours. I go over to see Joey and them. Big Flats. Okay, I don't know where that's at. Is that north of Ithaca or is that south of it? I mean, and what correlation? You said 45 minutes. Is that east, west, north, and south of Ithaca? I mean, I don't know the area good enough to. I know the general area. Beautiful country up there. Gosh, I think it was. I mean, like I've said in videos past, people are so misled when they think of New York. When you think of New York, the state, beautiful state. When you think of New York City, hold everything. I don't like New York City. I don't want to be crowded in with millions and millions of people in a very small area. I don't like the overcrowdedness like that. Okay, so it's south. Okay, so it's down there closer to Binghamton then. I mean, I stayed at Binghamton. Binghamton was about 30 minutes south uh, of Ithaca, 30 or 40, near Corning. Okay. Okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. I'm the same way, James. I mean, I don't care. I'm not a New York City fan at all. I mean, it's just not my cup of tea. For all these people that thinks it's beautiful, so be it. I don't know where the beauty stands there in New York City. I mean, I'm not. To me, there's a lot of filth. There's a lot of, I don't know, just too many people in too small of area. That's it in a nutshell. I mean, you can't crowd that many people in that small of a compact area and think it's livable. I mean, it's livable, but it ain't not livable in the terms that I like to call livable. I mean, my wife and I, we sat down here relaxed on 75 acres of land. Uh, I got a pond in my backyard. My nearest neighbor's probably a 3/4 or a mile away. Uh, I mean, and then I don't have very many neighbors that close. So I'm kind of nestled in a grove, a little bit of farmland down here. I love it. I love it. I've got a paved driveway coming up from my house, so I'm not so backward that I don't have pavement or anything. I've got you know good shop locations here. Uh, I'm very, I think, very privileged to live where I live and to have what I have, and to me, it's paradise for me. I wouldn't. I've been to a lot of places in the United States, and I love where I live right now. I wouldn't change it for the world. And uh, so that's me. Of course, like I said, I mean, I like a lot. I mean, I like countryside. I don't like overcrowdedness. I'm just not a. No offense to people that like cities. I'm just not a city person. A small town is fine with me. I mean, as long as I can get some conveniences and I can get that around here. Anything that most anybody can get anywhere. And of course, Amazon goes everywhere, so you don't have to worry about that. I mean, if you actually need something, you can order it on Amazon, have it shipped for free straight to your house. So, I mean, the conveniences of that are just uh, Fantastic. Yeah. Well, I mean, things like that, I can see that, and the sad thing about that, Scott, is they're trying to tear down statues. Any a semblance or anything that has a glorified meaning to us. So many of these ultra liberals and woke people are trying to tear it down. They're trying to come up with an idea. Oh, it was terrible. They had slaves, or it was a way of life in the 1600s and 1700s. Uh, as most people, if they study their history, realize that not too far from where I'm at right now was one of the biggest black slave owners. Black. He was a black man that was a free slave, and he rose to prominence in South Carolina and owned slaves, was a huge slave owner. And people don't realize that. So I mean, we got all these crazy woke people that think that everything that we've celebrated in the past is wrong, and it's not. Well, Jim, I appreciate you jumping in here. You have a good rest of the day. I'm not going to talk forever today, this morning myself. I've been talking for a long time here. Yeah, and that's that. That's everybody talks about slavery, and what are they trying to do? They're trying to promote new slavery. They're trying to make everybody be a serf. They want everybody to be dependent on the government. And who's in charge in the government? We're the slaves of the government if we continue on this woke society. I mean, people say, "Oh yeah, well, I'd like to have guaranteed income." Hey, the slaves had guaranteed income too. Wasn't much, but they had it guaranteed. They got food and water, and they got their essentials taken care of, and some of them got paid, and people don't realize that either. But yeah, they got it too, and that's what we're trying to create right now. They're recreating a slave society by making so many people dependent on the government. You are a slave to the government by the way the woke society is. When you're waiting on a handout, that means you're a slave. You're a slave to that government. You can't do any, you have to kind of follow their rules or you don't get paid. You've lost your free will when you do things like that. And that's, to me, that's what's happened in society right now. And we're making a new set of slaves. Now, people all know they're not slaves. Well, if you take away a man's free will, where he can't do what he wants to do and prosper and try to do things that are better for himself, then you've made him a slave. And that's what the government is doing. And they're doing it piece by piece by little piece. And people are so dumb they can't see that, but they are. The woke society is making new slaves out there, in my opinion. So when you when you when you take a person's free will away, it's you've done it. I mean, you want somebody to be able to, if he wants to work on his equipment, he's not going to be encumbered by regulations that are stupid. He's not going to be. He's going to be able to do something and fix something on his own to better himself. That's what you want to be able to do. You want to take something you have and make it better. You don't want the government saying, no, you can't do anything. You sit back, you watch TV, you do this mediocre thing. You take our food stamps and you take whatever assistance we give you, and you have to live under those means. And that's all we want you to do. We don't want you to get better. We want you to stay at this level, and that's what the Democratic Party and the woke society is doing right now. They're making slaves out of young people, and they're so dumb to see that. I mean, if all you want is to have the bare minimum of existence, then go along with the Democrats. Go along with the people like that, and all kind of crazy stuff. Hey, Chris. Yeah, we got heavy on the political side here this morning. We got stirred up on it, and I got heavy on it. So I try not to. I tried coming off with some other things today, but I get tugged in on it. I get tugged in on. I've been. Chris, did you see what I built over the weekend? I mean, during the week. Did you see? I hope everybody saw my last video where Jim and I we kind of invented a tool out of an old tool. I love doing stuff like that. My biggest thrill is doing things here in the shop and making things for the shop and stuff. Yeah, go back and look at it. I took an old box blade that I'd had 30 or 40 years, and I took they got these factory plates that you can buy for skid steers, and I had a couple of those, and I took one of the factory plates and then cut out. We took the plasma cutter and cut out around the edging of the box blade on the top of it where the lip was, and ground that down and smoothed it up, and then we flattened it up against the box blade and welded it. I took the old buzz box I got over here and just hot welded right in there. Yeah, yeah, that's basically what I did. I mean, I enjoy doing stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. Well, basically, taking that box blade like that and being able to use it with a skid steer now, I mean, I can do a lot of good work with it. I like it, and I was because I'm as I had to show in another video, I built another shed or pretty good sized building down next to my house. I got a 30 by 60 that I'm gonna house my implements in because uh, I've run out of room, and it just aggravates me that I have equipment and it gets stuck out in the grass and grass grows over it. Then you lose it. You go, I know I've got one of these pieces of equipment and it's stuck in the grass somewhere. And I'm trying to get away from that and start organizing and shelving my implements. Yeah, the little Toolcat's a very versatile machine. I like the Toolcat. The skid steer is really strong with this. I was out, uh, but I like the Toolcat because it actually has got that arm that extends out, and I can see a little bit further out ahead than I can with the skid steer. Skid steer, the T300, I'm right up against me, and that's good in a way, but it's bad in a way. In a way, I like having that box blade a little bit further out, and I can see ahead of time of what I'm doing and see underneath the box blade better. I can't see underneath the box blade when it's on the T300. No, no, no. I'm digging up a lot. I'm leaving some of them. Some of them because we're going to reforest that. They tell you not to mess with it. They said just leave them out there, and that's what I'm going to do with that. Uh, but some of it up close to my road, where it's close to my where I'm going to see a lot. I'm cleaning that off. I'm taking out a bunch of stumps. Oh gosh, probably 50, 50 or 100 stumps. I guess I don't know how many it's going to be. I've already taken out a good many, uh, but I got a planer for my auger, that I'm using that's doing a good job. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about, but it's uh, it actually got a set of knives, and you just set it down on the stump, and it'll start digging it away with a auger. I've got the auger that goes on my skid steer or my tool cat or whatever, and I've been using on my tool cat lately, and because the tool cat has high flow, and I can speed it up just a little bit. Yeah, basically that's what it is. It's a stump grinder, and I've got a stump grinder too. I have a stump grinder that goes on my Bobcat. I'm gonna have to replace some of the teeth. I got it out the other day, and some of the teeth on it uh, need replacing. They're dull. They're carbide. They're expensive. So I don't know which way I'm gonna go on that. And then plus, Jim and I built a uh, a, a a tooth for a stump tooth, I guess you might say, knife and everything for my track hoe. I've got that so I can get in there and get the roots, and it'll go down deep and cut the roots and everything. And I'm trying to do that too, so I can do that. And then I've got my large track hoe that I can grab after I've done all this. I got it, and I can grab it and just kind of clean up behind it and everything, not make as much mess. The biggest thing I'm trying to do is not to tear up all my land as I remove these stumps. I'm trying to minimize how much I tear up the land, because I don't want to dig up all the stumps and have stumps and roots and everything all over the place and have to burn and which I'm doing some of that. I'm digging holes, and I've got a huge hole over there that I've dug with the big track hoe, and I'm putting a bunch of old stumps and everything in it. I'm gonna burn that, and uh, then take the ashes and everything, and uh, try to clean that up. I found out what was going on with my thumbs that are coming up on my screen. That's a new thing that Apple put out that goes along with the latest iOS. So if I put my like a thumbs up, now see it'll copy me on the screen. It'll do a thumbs up. And then if I do two thumbs up, it's supposed to do something different. There we go. What do you think about that, guys? Yeah, I did that. Yeah. And yeah, that's something that Apple put out. I didn't know it until I was watching my uh, Weekly that I watch, and they were talking about things like that. So when you're using the camera, see, I'm using the Apple phone, the iPhone, in conjunction with the new iOS. I downloaded all the new iOS, and then, like I said, every time I do this with a thumb, it's going to throw a thumbs up. It'll do a thumbs up on the screen, supposedly. And like I said, and then when I do two thumbs up, I get all the back, I get all the explosion. So yeah, they got all kind of crazy things, and I didn't know what was going on. I thought it was somebody doing that, and it was actually the camera was watching my expressions, and it was mimicking what I was doing, and I had to go back and look on the screen to figure out what I was doing that generated that. So if anybody says anything really cool, and I say, "Oh, great," and I'll do like that, and we'll have an explosion in the background. so, so yeah, so giving y'all the techie thing, I finally figured it out myself and what was going on with my screen, and I didn't realize it was through that iOS 17 that if you got an iPhone, that's you can download that, and then same thing with the new between in conjunction with that and the new software they got for the uh, MacBook Pro. But that's what that was, and I didn't even know it. I thought somebody was playing a trick on me, and I was playing my own trick and didn't realize it. Yeah, yeah, you like you're editing, only it's for the live stream. Like I said, I'll say, everybody give me a thumbs up. Everybody give me a thumbs up if you want to, and it'll give me the thumbs up. So so I can direct everybody to give me a thumbs up, and hopefully everybody will hit my screen and give me a thumbs up. There we go. but uh, but I guess I'm gonna get on out of here. I've got some things to do, so I'll try to say, let's make it a great day and celebrate. All right, guys. I'll see you around.